Welcome to Chess Cave, guys. I want to show you an amazing game that was played yesterday at the World Cup between Tiviugov and Peter Svidler. Peter Svidler scored an amazing win. The position, I'm going to go through the game pretty fast because the position that I want to show you is at the end, the variation that he played. And also there is a pattern in the middle game that is quite interesting to keep in mind. Svidler showed why he won the Russian championship 8 times. I mean, that's pretty impressive. So the game starts with e4, and it's a Sicilian defense, knight f3, d6, and he decided to play with bishop b5, which is a nice variation. Knight d7 was played. You can play here if you want. I mean, something like knight c6 as well. That's a different variation. d4, take, and knight f6. And now he decides to castle and a6. Here, I mean, it's pretty dangerous to play a move like knight take e4. I can show you. If knight take e4, we play the move rook e1. We play a move like d5, for instance. I have counterattack against the pawn by playing c4. You can see, I mean, there is this e-file, and it's really hard to defend the pawn. You cannot play a move like e6, for instance. You lose straight away to c take d5, right? Because if you take, well, now I can just play, I guess, a move like knight c3, attacking this and this. And I think you can play also, I mean, on this, you can play also f3. And this variation with bishop c5 and queen b6 doesn't work. I'll show you why, because on bishop c5, I take on e4. And if you play queen b6, I am actually taking with check. This is the issue in this position, because on king f8 now, I can simply defend the pieces by playing bishop e3. And now there is no more queen take b5 with, I mean, a pin. I'm not pinned anymore with my knight, so that doesn't work. Anyway, so let's go back to the position. So this was if, you know, after castle, if black decides to play knight take e4. If they play knight take e4, rook e1, and come back, for instance, there is this nice move that is knight f5. And now you're targeting these two pawns. You're threatening knight take d6. And even if queen c7, you can still take, right? Because if queen take, the queen is here to defend. And there is a pin, right, on the e-file. And after castle, you went to a6, bishop a4. I mean, bishop a4, e6, and now c4. This is the, it's called the canal attack. So there is two pawns here that are controlling basically the square on d5. This one is controlling also against, for instance, a push on b5 as well. Bishop e7, knight c3, castle. I want to show you, I go pretty fast because I want to show you actually the end of the end, which is I mean, pretty nice. Okay, queen c7. Now he's putting pressure basically on the c4 pawn that is defended for the time being. And he decides, so white are going to attack actually, you know, it's going to be this way, right? They're gonna, the plan is pretty clear for white here. They're gonna play g4, g5, g6. Black are gonna try to actually play this and try to disrupt the queen side. This is how it's gonna play. He plays knight b6, actually threatening the bishop on a4 and also the pawn on c4. So the only move here is to play bishop b3, defending, I mean, both. And now he plays e5, and this is known territory. We already saw basically games like this. And usually what happens is that people actually take, and play knight f5. Svidler decides to play differently here. He plays knight f5 straight away, and this is a new move here. It went bishop take f5, pawn take, and rook e8. He's attacking basically, I mean, he's putting his rook on the e-file, I mean, threatening the queen at some point. But Svidler says, I actually don't care. I start my attack on the king side. So he plays the move g4 with clear targets. And, you know, this is his idea here. And it went d5. So d5 is the problem. But actually, it's really, really hard to see because you're thinking, when there is an attack on the isle, usually, I mean, if you went to a Botvinnik school, you know, in Russia, Botvinnik had a school that for the young Russian talents, and he trained everyone like Garry Kasparov, etc. And he was saying, like, when there is an attack on the isle, you have to counter in the center, usually with your pawns. But here, it doesn't work. I mean, first of all, as you can see, the d5 pawn is actually defended by too many pieces. So he's deciding to sacrifice something, and especially he's sacrificing a piece, but thinking, well, you will see in the variation, he's thinking that after take, Take, he's going to be able to actually get it back by playing this variation. So they exchange everything. And queen c5 check. Queen c5 check, I come back with the knight, and now he must have calculated something like pawn take. And now bishop g5. And it's true that, I mean, that's extremely scary. Because when you look at this position and you're analyzing, I mean, you're thinking like you're maybe winning here. Because look at this position. It's pretty crazy that actually these two pieces are at home. There is such an attack. Yes, okay, you're playing with one piece up with white, but actually after the move rook f3, there is nothing really threatening. I mean, I checked with the computer and there is absolutely nothing, which is pretty surprising for such an advance in development for black. In the king that is exposed, two pieces at home, every piece that he's playing, I mean, only this one needs to come in the game, which is what he does, Tiviugov, which is fine. And now king f1. So he's saying now you're not going to be basically pinning my knight anymore. He plays queen d4. And now a4. a4 is a genius plan. I mean, I wouldn't have found something like this because you're thinking, how do I activate these pieces? And he found this plan with a4, rook a3, and now he's controlling the third rank. It's really, really nice plan. Queen e4, he went rook a3, and look, now if rook c8, now rook c3. And right on time, basically, to control the c file. Rook take, pawn take. Now he grabs the pawns. And now he goes h4. And now queen c2, because when you're in advance, the rule in chess is that when you're in advance in development, what you do, you try to exchange pieces to actually go to the end game, right? And win. He goes queen c6, and now the pawn is attacked, but he plays a very nice variation against Svidler. He decides to actually not defend the pawn, but force, because of it, I give you the pawn, but I'm forcing a queen exchange, which puts me actually in an endgame that is winning. So it goes like this. He forces you to take, and now knight d1. I mean, threatening this, and then he will exchange. So he goes bishop b4, queen take, rook d3. And this is the position that is the most interesting in the game because, I mean, I'm thinking, all right, so black have these two pawns, right? Yes, you are one piece up, but how are you going to win this? It's going to be really hard, right? Because the three pawns are just against these three. And how do I manage to get basically, for instance, a pass pawn here to actually manage to win? And he found a way. There is a very, very nice variation here. He starts with bishop b2. He goes check, king g4, check. Where do you put your king now? Try to think for a second. I don't know. If you start basically putting your king, I mean, coming back on h3, going on f4, I mean, you could actually have a plan that is, for instance, going on f4, e5. But even if you get to e5, as you can see with the bishop, sorry, that was a very bad arrow. Even if you see with the bishop, you have the king here, you can't really go to these squares. So I don't know. And he found an amazing plan. And you're thinking, okay, usually when there is a check like this, I'm not going to put my king on h5 because I have risk. I mean, I risk to get mated, right? You wouldn't do it. And it's true, actually, when Nigel Short and Almira Skripchenko were analyzing the game, Nigel thought that actually black is winning here by playing this move. King g8, and now I'm threatening g6 check. You have only king h6 and bishop f8 checkmate. And how to actually not lose here with white. It's really hard. So actually Svidler saw, I mean, obviously when he played king h5, he saw this variation, otherwise he wouldn't have played it. And after bishop f8, there is this amazing move that is bishop take g7. This is crazy because it's forced, because now I'm threatening basically to take the piece on f8, right? So you have to actually take, right? Now I play f6 check, it's forced again, and now I simply bring the knight, and my target is to play this and this. And there is nothing you can do about it. So he tried h6, knight f5, take, I don't even take here, I just play knight e7 check, and you have to go on h7, and I take the bishop, and that's how basically Svidler qualified for round 5, and in a very, very impressive way. All right, guys, I hope you liked it, and I'll see you on the next one.